Good afternoon everybody, welcome aboard the Lost Madagascar Express. If I can please ask that while the train is moving, we remain seated at all times, keep arms and legs inside the carriages, and if at all possible you can just avoid touching the perspex screens in front and behind you. Now we are running a non-stop train service at the moment, not able to stop at the lemur walk-through enclosure due to social distancing limitations. We've got a few other animals to have a look at. I'll tell you a few interesting facts and figures about them. Hopefully you'll hear something you haven't necessarily heard before. So sit back, relax and enjoy the ride. Colchester Zoo is currently home to around about 250 different species of animal. Somewhere close to nearly 2,000 animals altogether. Everything from the smallest bugs, grubs and insects all the way up to the largest lions, tigers, elephants, rhinos, giraffes and bears. And somewhere in the middle of all of those we have our European grey wolves. And that's what we're going to see first up on the right hand side. Now we have three in the enclosure. They are called Torvi, Tala and Asta. All three of our girls just hiding in and amongst the tree stumps there. Now if you look closely at our wolves you can see they're not particularly very grey, so the name grey wolf is a little misleading. In the wild they can be any colour from a near white all the way through to a complete black, and you can see some of that colour variation in their fur. Now the European grey wolf is just one species of wolf. There are many other species all over the world. And a few thousand years ago someone first domesticated some wolves somewhere, and through selective breeding over many centuries we've been able to change the size, shape, coloration and the temperament of the wolf in order to allow them into our homes as our pet dogs. So if you've got a dog at home, regardless of what breed it is, you can be certain that it is actually related to the wolf. And the next enclosures we're passing are home to our African hunting dogs. We have two here at Colchester Zoo. They're called Thaddeus and Jacob. They are brothers, and they're around about 7 years old. Now we normally find them up and around these last two enclosures up on the right hand side. Normally at the top of the enclosure is where they've been hiding for much of the day. And they are considered to be one of the most successful predators on the plains of Africa, hunting in very large packs and achieving success rates of around about 80%. Unfortunately, they're also one of the most endangered carnivores in Africa as well, and there is only about 6,000 of them left in the wild. Over the left-hand side, Chilean flamingos spread out in the lake, and our black and white rough lemurs are in the enclosure closest to us. There's one just underneath this wooden platform, just through that gap in the fence there. I'll tell you more about those on the way back down to the station. And just looking up under the walkway here, what we need to be doing is looking up and to the right-hand side. And what we're looking for is an animal known as a Binturong. Now the Binturong is an unusual animal. It looks like the cross between a bear and a cat, and they spend about 95% of their time hiding away up in the trees. Makes them a little bit elusive. We don't often get fantastic views of them from down here on the train. When they climb down from trees, they come down head first, using reversible claws in their back feet. They also have what's known as a prehensile tail, which is very flexible, and they can wrap that around branches, giving further support as they climb around. Fun fact about the Binturong is that their wee smells exactly the same as popcorn. As we continue round, up in front of us and over on the right hand side, as we go around the corner, we have our troop of Gelada Baboon. Now the Gelada Baboon are the last example of a grazing primate left on the planet. You'll find them up in the mountains of Ethiopia. Normally in large groups of around about 300 to 400. Now the big hairy guy sitting up on the concrete there is a Kobo. He's the dominant male within the group. Now we do have three youngsters in there as well. I can't quite see them at the moment. Maybe mums have taken them indoors as the temperature's just dropped a little bit. They're round about 2 years old. Enclosure on the left hand side is where we have our ringtail lemurs. Just about gonna get to see a couple of them. There's one down on the floor here, just before they disappear in. We've got a little bit of a mixed bag in there at the moment, males and females, mainly brothers and sisters from a few different breeding years. And we do have 2 youngsters in there at the moment as well. They're only about 3 to 4 weeks old. Now the ringtail lemur comes from Madagascar. It's the only place in the world you will find lemurs in the wild. 111 different species of them out there. All of them are endangered. 105 of that number are considered to be critically endangered. That includes the black and white rough lemurs that we just came past on the right. And the reason they're critically endangered, mainly due to the fact that they live up in the rainforests. If you know anything about rainforests anywhere, you'll know that they are struggling with deforestation. Much of it illegally. Madagascar is no different. We have lost about 90 to 95% of the rainforest on the island, all gone and cleared to make way for quarries, mines and farmland. Now black and white rough lemur are primarily vegetarians, eating fruit, seeds and berries, but they're also very fond of eating nectar as part of their diet. As they feed on that nectar deep within the flowers, they collect pollen on their fur, and they pass that pollen from flower to flower, much in the same way that bees and insects do, pollinating along the way. And because of their body size, they're classed as the world's largest pollinator of plants. Now alongside all of the conservation work that we do here at Colchester Zoo, we also run a charity as well called Action for the Wild. Now this charity was first established in 1996, and over the last 25 years we have raised and donated many thousands of pounds for worthy causes, projects and organisations around the world, all with conservation and animal welfare at their forefront. It has also allowed us to establish a nature reserve in South Africa. 14,000 acres of unused farmland that have been working very hard to turn back to a natural habitat. It's currently home to around about 450 to 500 different species. A few of those were introduced at the beginning, but many more have been coming back naturally over the years. The reserve is called Umfafa. It's a private nature reserve. It receives all of its funding through the Action for the Wild charity and normally, in a normal year, our internship programme that we run out there. As you can imagine, all of that has come to a bit of a stop this year. So it's even more vitally important that we raise awareness of what we do out there so that we can continue that work in the future. And if you'd like to help us out today, there will be a collection pot on the side of the train, as per normal. Any donations would be greatly appreciated, and every single penny of that goes towards a very worthy cause indeed. So we're now coming back down into the station. If I could please ask that we remain seated until the train comes to a stop. When it does, exit on the right hand side. Please take personal possessions with you. As you do leave the train and the station, please try to maintain social distancing, keep everyone nice and safe and comfortable in and around the area. But for the time being, hope you've enjoyed this ride with us today, and I hope you have a fantastic day here at Colchester Zoo.